Okay, so here we are on Aboyo Beach. This is a new region I've started building a couple of days ago. Now I've started placing things where I want them, and I always forget to turn that volume off. There we go. And what I usually do with a new island or a new region is work out where I want land and where I want water before I do much building at all. So I had in my mind a central river through the region. It goes through quite straight, then has a bit of a kink here at the end. And then I wanted to work out where my main buildings would be, so I've dropped my businesses where I want them. Part of that is also working out where you want the ground height. Well, I tend to use I think these are a 0.5 metre slab. No, 2 metre slab of grass. And that's basically my ground height for pretty much everything. So in this case I've worked it out to be 19.625. On the previous region I had it at 19.125, but I found it was a bit too close to water height with the 2 metre thick slab. So anyway, I've lifted that 0.5 a metre. Now this is about terraforming, so I won't dwell too much on that. As I mentioned, I've terraformed the river through here, and as you can see, the rest of the region, apart from the river, is that same uniform flat height. I also worked out that I wanted to put in a raised highway, so it lifts off the ground here on one side of the river so boats can get under, and then on the other side, as you can see, it looks a bit silly because it's just sitting in the sky. Well, that's because I want to put a palace here, or a grand mansion, just on this lot here, and I have to lift everything up to the height of the road, because basically that's the height where I want to put the ground. And I'm going to put a grass slab over it like I have on the rest of the island, but it has to be the same height as the road. So this road is also 2 meters thick, and the grass will abut it perfectly, like just like it has, say, over here. Okay, so just like it has on the ground level stuff over here, the grass will abut the road perfectly. Okay, so what we're going to do is terraform this bit up to the height of the road, and I just want to show you a couple of little terraforming tricks. Okie doke, this is aimed at people who haven't done much terraforming and are just trying to solve some random little problems. In this case we're going to raise land. Now that's 10 meters. The difference between that bit of the raised bit of road and that bit of road is 10 meters. Experience has taught me that in edit mode, if you go over to your terraform tools here, click on the little bulldozer icon. Now size is up to max, strength is up to max. I'm going to choose raise land, and experience has taught me, as I said, if you click that very quickly, it usually lifts at about 9 meters. So we're just going to do that underneath the road, and it wasn't a great demonstration, but you should find the peak of that is in the road. So that to me is pretty perfect, because I'm going to drop the land on top of it. You don't want it exactly level with the road, you want it just below, because we're going to put a prim over the top of it. So now we're going to choose flatten, and over that mound you can see how the terraform points there are at the top of the mound. So we're going to choose that. Again, we'll just quick tap it, and we've got a lovely flat square. Let's extend that out now. Beautiful. So it takes in the road, the height of it, and we're just going to follow this around all the way. Now you'll notice I'm going a bit further than I need to there, and I'll get to that in a moment. We'll keep going along here. Make sure we don't hit the coastline there. We'll move in a bit. so that I can use zoom. You find when you're doing big scale projects like this that you use your camera controls quite a lot. I tend to put them at the top of the screen where they're out of the road, and you'll notice I leave a little gap there between the top of the window and the camera controls, and that's just so when I'm editing an object you can see the coordinates. The coordinates appear in this little space up the top, which is handy. Just got to move a little bit further over because we don't want to upset that where the beach hits the sea. Beautiful. So we just follow the road around here. And we can smooth all that out later. I'll extend that beach out a bit further because there's a lot of room there to play with. I actually messed this up the other day. I had all this done, and there's one thing that can come unstuck very quickly with terraforming is this apply button, and I just wasn't thinking, I wasn't concentrating, and instead of hitting the strength button I hit the apply button, and it flattened the whole region, which was hilarious. But as you can see, it's not really a huge chore. I find it quite calming too. So for the time being there will be features here. I'll put in little hills and things, but I'll leave that until I've got the build done. For the time being we're just going to fill all this in. So you know that this is a nice uniform level. We'll go to the okay, and I'll just show you now so this doesn't drag out to be an hour long video. We'll just steal a prim, flat prim. Let's see, we'll go up to edit tools, we'll grab that one there over, oh no, just one prim, not four. I'm guaranteeing I've joined every bloody prim because I'm, oh no, there's one, beautiful, underneath the phase store, so we'll pinch that. Just, that is copy and drag, just to pull a copy of that. We'll bring it up here. We know that that bridge height, if we click there, so here's where those numbers come up at the top of the screen that I was telling you about. It's really handy for quick reference rather than trying to find fiddly little numbers in the edit box. So I know that that prim is 29.625 in height, so we're going to make this one 29.625 over in the edit box, and it's also 2 meters thick, so all its particular dimensions are right, and we'll slide that over here to show that it has worked. That should be exactly the same height as the road. We'll come over a bit closer. You can see that's flashing there where it hits the road. It means the prims are overlapping. Slide it back to the edge. You'll see I'm using the grid bars there. It just makes it drop in nicely to the perfect meter, and it means that it abuts it and you don't get that horrible overlapping that you see all the time. So there, I'll tidy that up later, but you can see there the how the terraforming's worked, and you've got no bits of ground poking through the prim. Yes, that's going to drive me nuts. It also lags up the viewer, so it is handy just to get rid of that stretch. This isn't the finished number, I'm just moving it. Cool, done. Close that. Great, so that's just that little bit of, it's just a quick tip how to raise the ground level up to meter road. Of course you can do it the other way and put the road in the ground in first and then try to marry the road up, but I find that's it's fun if you want an adventure road, but you find it's a bit tricky sometimes getting all your angles and descents right when you're trying to match up varying heights. It's sometimes easier just to, like, you could build up a mountain pass around this for argument's sake if you wanted to make it interesting. So let's just edit the terrain again. We'll flatten this a bit further out here, and I might decide, okay, we're going to make a bit of a mountain here. We'll just raise a random area here. Look at this. When I say a bit of a mountain, apparently I meant a huge peak. That's okay though. That's perfectly okay. And then what you can do is you go back to your flatten, size it down, way down. You want it to be probably a bit narrower than the road is good. And we're just going to follow the road through. Follow the dotted line there so we can see where we're going. And you can make a mountain pass that way if you want to get adventurous. And you just fiddle around with your smooth tools, etc. there, but you end up with these rather cool road features. Of course this is all going to be smoothed. I'm just showing you the bulk of the technique there, the basics of it. But yeah, so you can do it that way and you end up with some pretty cool formations. And of course if you stuff up, you've still got your base height here, and you can flatten it all and start again. So yeah, terraforming's one of my favorite things with OpenSimulator. I love terraforming. And the tools are a lot easier to use than in a lot of other games. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I wanted to show you this as well, is just we'll go back, we need to fix up this angle a bit, so we're going to raise that. Remember back here I clicked on the raise quickly and it lifted it about 9 meters. We had the strength set to full, so now we're going to knock it down, way down to about 1/4. Okay, and we're just going to use little increments here. I've actually got my finger on it, but I'm working my way up further up the top here, so we're just trying to get that ground intersecting with the prim. Okay, and make sure it's the same on both sides, and go a bit higher than you need to, because we're then going to apply a smooth tool and also come out to the side a bit like we are there, because the smooth tool is going to drop that. It's going to iron out a lot of that height in a minute. I'm even going over the road a bit there, which is also fine. Okay, smooth. So now we're going in smooth. Again, I've left it on a low frequency for now. Let's take that big bump out of there. And if you find that you've got too much ground to play with, that's fine, because we can use the lower tool. But yeah, I think we might be pretty close there. Come on. We're just going to use a dab of lower, just here. So it is an art, but it's not hard to learn, and they're great skills to have, because you never know when someone's going to say, hey, can you build me a duck pond or a river or a canal or a mountain range, or you might end up owning a huge estate of 100 simulators, and your imagination can just go absolutely nuts. But there you go, we've got just mucking around with the smooth, raise and lower tool, and Bob's your uncle. Look at that, lovely downhill there. I've never, actually this revert tool, I was saying before how I stuffed up the other day and flattened it by hitting that apply button, and I keep forgetting, this is crazy, I've been using this 15 years, I keep forgetting that revert button exists. All I had to actually do was hit the revert button, apply, and it would have fixed it. But anyway, yeah, little things. The roughen tool I've never really used. I don't think I've ever used roughen. Or maybe early in the piece, but I didn't like the way it just randomized little peaks. I don't see the point of roughen. Yeah, maybe if you're trying to create a landscape that you don't walk on or anything, it just looked a bit cheesy to me. We'll do it here and just see what it does, but maybe need a bit more strength. So it's very random. I suppose you could, yeah, it's okay. I mean, it'd be alright for a bit of a mountain range, I guess. Play with it. You might find it useful. I just, yeah. Maybe I'm too much of a control freak. I like to build things on purpose rather than by accident. But yeah, go crazy and use the tools. But anyway, that's a bit of a quick idea. It was a totally random video, and I hadn't planned to make this one, but I figured I was doing a bit of terraforming, so I'd show you some of the basics. Okay, I'll leave it there, and yeah, chat soon. Bye.